Hey, good morning, and welcome to what was going to be Ron and Sophie the cat talk about trades in the morning, but it seems like Sophie has gotten skittish now, as cats have this odd tendency to do, I guess, and so she does not seem to be ready to join us, which is probably bad for you because she was the one who's going to have all of the insights. But anyway, it is late April here in the real world, and it is we're in a stasis moment in the world of our BBA-dom, in that we are waiting for Matt to finish all of the work that is going on in the V26 files, and probably a few other things that we'll see what comes about. I think we're ready for some exciting period as we move into a new era of the version 26 version of the game. And in the stasis period, we've had a total of, I think, of five kind of already trades. All of them are interesting in their own light. The two of them are essentially sales of AAA players. San Fernando sold 2 second basemen. One of them is Frank Jardine, went to Atlantic City for $150,000, and who was the other guy? Victor Ramos went to Charm City for a similar cool $150,000. So San Fernando has cleared $300,000 by moving 2 players. There's Sophie. Maybe she's trying to kibitz in from the outside. You're going to have to listen to her better. Anyway, San Fernando picked up $300,000, and I believe Kurt has been pretty open about moving players off of the 40-man roster. I would assume these are 2 slots that he's created looking forward to the Rule 5 draft. So that makes sense for him. The $300,000 is not huge, but he's also been competing on a tough, up toward the salary cap, on a medium revenue stream, so cash is always, a little extra cash is always helpful to him. I saw that he did some PPTs to get cash earlier, and so makes total sense. From Charm Cities in, is it Mexico City? Charm City and Atlantic City. Their point of view, both of those guys, I think, are workable fillers, depth pieces. I don't think either of the two of them are going to step into the major league roster and be like super impact guys. They're workable gloves, workable bats, replacement filler kind of players, and good for depth in this world of injury stuff. And Charm City with Ackerman is one injury away from needing somebody to be able to step in and be a utility kind of player. So you never know what's going to happen. Workable, perfectly interesting deals on both of those. We have a couple of interesting minor league only deals. The BBA is not filled with history of having minor league only trades, and these may be borderline on those. First one I want to talk about is, I think it was, where is it at here? Yeah, gosh dang it. And here I thought I was almost ready. Yeah, there we go. Mexico City acquired a AA catcher from Twin Cities, Dabrika Sekulik. How do you pronounce it? Sekulik, I guess, who has been I think he's 24. I don't have him in front of me, but I want to say he's a AA player in 24. He's kind of due. He's been in AA for a year or 3. Been doing pretty well. Definitely probably needs to be higher up. If I remember right, he's a really good power, workable glove, but nothing spectacular, right? If you had to plug him in right this minute as a backup catcher, which I would, without having looked at the rosters, I would guess that Mexico City is probably looking at doing that. So in a sense, he is acquiring a, in quotes, major leaguer at the minor league. If nothing else, Sekulic should be a pretty good, really good backup injury replacement kind of guy. And for that, the price was quite young. I want to say he's 19 years old, shortstop Brent Jarvis. The kind of guy that Twin Cities and Allen is, I think, fairly constantly on the hunt for. In this case, he, a guy with warts but possibilities as a very young kid. And in this case, a shortstop with possibilities. Borderline elite glove, cannot hit. If the bat comes in even just a little bit, then that borderline elite glove is very workable. But he was in A ball last year, probably a little bit early. Did not perform well, if I recall right. I want to say he hit like 153 or 151, or he was a literal non-entity with the bat at A ball. Which does not bode particularly well. But he's 19, and you never know what the development fairies are going to bring, and so that made total sense. I don't think Sekulic was going to be going anywhere in the Twin Cities organization. Gives him an opportunity to perhaps make his way inside another major league roster. So you can't really complain about that if you're the Sekulic family. And Jarvis is a pretty good flyer. But that. The other minor league trade is, again, a borderline minor league trade with the opportunity to bring a player up into the majors, and that is the deal that Montreal made to trade yet another one of their first base U products. And Javier Martinez, who's a young Double-A first baseman, contact first kind of first baseman. So he's ready. He seems like he could play in the majors right this minute. I don't know, as a contact first baseman, I don't know that he's ever really going to be like a super impact guy, but he seems like the kind of player that you can plug in, and if you are Atlantic City, I've not looked at John's first base situation. I really should know it. I'm saying that a lot myself as I'm getting back into more depth of time here in the BBA world. I'm finding myself trying to catch up a lot more, and in this particular case, my guess is Javier Martinez is going to play at the big league roster, at least part-time, and should be workable. They traded second baseman Marcos Concepcion, who's a guy in short A. As Bob said in his team news, I'm not certain he's going to actually be able to play second base, but at I think he's 20, something like that. At 20 years old, he has plenty of time to develop, and if he does make it, then fantastic. And if not, I think Montreal is again set at first base for quite some time. So they're essentially playing with house money at this stage when they're dealing that plethora of first basemen. The most interesting deal, the biggest deal, the intriguing one is Phoenix's offer of the 4-player Denny's Grand Slam that included Joe Mother, 29, almost 30-year-old power, face of the franchise, personality of the league. Center fielder Juan Cabrera, outfielder Eric Wagner, and then third base prospect Phil Warner. Third base Phil Warner. He's 21 years old. Start from the bottom up. Warner is a solid prospect. He's, if I remember right, he's a 45, transfers into version 26 as a 45, good power, workable glove, kind of guy you would not be shocked to see on a major league roster, but is also not going to be sitting there on the bucket lists and things like that. He's just a workable, good player. You can tell if you just look at the award lists for Sawyer Silk and Puckett Award for third base in the Johnson League, you can understand why Phoenix would be okay with giving a guy like this away, because they are set for a decade at third base. So this is the tempter, I think, before it's all said and done. This is the long run. Warner is the long picture guy to make the deal more palatable, because Eric Wagner, 34, his deal is $2.6 million next year and like $3.5 million the following year. I just don't, it wouldn't be shocking to see Wagner get released pretty much right away, but he's not invaluable, or unvaluable. That second year is a vesting option. I would guess that vesting option won't happen. And on the other hand, if it does happen, that means that he is providing more than $3.5 million of value if Allen sees it that way. And so if that's the case, then even better. Cabrera is an interesting guy. He's at $3.5 million next year and $4.5 million the year after. Allen's team news made it clear that he's looking at Cabrera as a defensive-only player, which makes sense because, the guy's bat is not really workable. As I guess the Formula One guys would say, he's a rolling chicane. But as Allen discusses, his offense is so strong that he feels like he can handle that situation. That one non-entity with the bat is not going to be a problem. And as long as Cabrera continues to put forward elite defense, I don't see any reason to argue with that. The most intriguing player in the whole mix, of course, is Joe Mother, who has had some development anxieties, right? He's still a perfectly solid player, but he's 29 going on 30. His body archetype is not particularly great for development. I think he's one of those really short, I don't remember his numbers, I don't know, 5'8", 5'9", 210 pounds or something, I don't know. His deal is for 10.6, 10.6, 10.6, 11.6, 11.6. So you add that all up and it's $55-ish million for 5 years. If he doesn't have problems with development, that's a pretty good deal. If he does have problems with development, the risk side says Allen is going to have to eat or deal with low production out of $10 million a year for 5 years. Twin Cities is in a position where that is a workable thing, not desirable. Nobody wants to throw $10 million into the drink, but if Allen needs to do that, if Twin Cities needs to do that, they probably can. And at the end of the day, right now, Twin Cities is on a path trying to chase down Nashville. Nashville is still going to be super hard to beat, but they are looking more beatable than they were a couple years ago. We'll see what happens in free agency and where they all land out there. So it makes sense that this would be the situation that Twin Cities and Phoenix would be able to hook up on this kind of thing. When I first looked at the deal, I went, okay, well, this is an interesting one because the market is quite limited, right? You got to find somebody who can potentially eat $10 million a year. So right away, that cuts the market down into a small. You can kind of figure out who those people are, but then you also have to look at all total. This is roughly $17 million on salary cap for next year, 15 for the year after, maybe. So that team has to be able to absorb that those kind of numbers too. Twin Cities is when you put the two of them together, and then you look at the value package of center field plus a power hitting outfielder, what fits the most. Twin Cities is probably the right the right market for this deal. Pardon me. And so kudos on both of them. Kudos on Sean for having the audacity to put together the grand slam package, and kudos on Ellen for looking at it and seeing that was a way to make a strong, bold move for this coming year, because Twin Cities has been chasing Nashville, as I think Nashville is their white whale, right? Their white bluebird. So it'd be fun to see if either Twin Cities or Des Moines, or in that sense Louisville or Chicago. I don't think Yellow Springs is quite ready to make the full jump up into competition for the division, but they could be playoffs. And Heartland's going to be an interesting division. Blah, 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 blah. Anyway, I think that's the conversation on the 5 deals that we've had so far this year. I will close shop on that one. Definitely looking forward to seeing the new version 26 file whenever it comes out. I assume it will be today. And good luck to everyone, and hope you have a fantastic off season.